my homage to the gem of the Supreme Buddha. The Buddha is my refuge every day. May my homage to the gem of the Supreme Dhamma. The Dhamma is my refuge every day. May my homage to the gem of the Supreme Sangha. The Sangha is my refuge every day. May my homage to the Supreme Triple Gem. The Triple Gem is my refuge every day. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Samanta cakkavalesu atra gacchantu devata saddhammang munirajas sunantu saggamokkhadan Dhammasavana kalo ayang bhadanta Dhammasavana kalo ayang bhadanta Dhammasavana kalo ayang bhadanta. May all divine beings arrive here to listen to sublime Dhamma expounded by the fully enlightened one. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhassa. Honor to the Supreme Buddha, the Blessed One, the Exalted One, the fully enlightened One. Meritorious devotees, Dhamma friends, you all are going to listen to sublime Dhamma expounded by the Supremely Enlightened One. Today is a very important poem for all the Sri Lankans, as the light of the doctrine of the Supreme Buddha arose in Sri Lanka on this full moon Foya day 2300 years ago, when Arahat Mahinda arrived here with the retinue of other Mahasangha, with the invitation of with the arrangements of his father, Emperor Dhammasoka or Dharmasoka, with the instructions given by Arahat Moggali Puttatissa Thera. Therefore, meritorious devotees, Dhamma friends, the foyer, out of the foyers, full moon foyer days, for the Sri Lankan Buddhists, this can be considered one of the magnificent one among other foyers, because the darkness was demolished on this full moon foyer day. The darkness of the ignorance was demolished on this foyer day because of the rising of the full moon of the sublime Dhamma of the Supreme Buddha in this island. Therefore, we all were fortunate on this foyer day to receive a noble Dhamma which puts an end to this dangerous sansaric life. Therefore, that historical stories have been understood by, known by majority of the population in this country in general, and the people of the world in particular. We can remember, after the passing away of the Supreme Buddha, 236 years later, Emperor Asoka dominated India. First and foremost, he employed what is called Digvijaya principle, waging war against other countries. After taking refuge in the Triple Gem wholeheartedly, he once again practiced. He practiced for the first time Dhamma Vijaya. That means turning the wheel of the Dhamma, which is the highest thing for all the people of the world, including Devas. Because this turning of the wheel principle actually helped all of us to receive this sublime Dhamma and practice this sublime Dhamma and take refuge in the Triple Gem wholeheartedly, by doing which one can escape from this dangerous four hells. Yekeji buddhan saranang gatase nate gamissanti apayam. If one takes refuge in the Supreme Buddha, he would not go to hell. Pahaya manusan dehang devakaya paripuresanti. Having discarded this body of human body, he would go to heaven. After going to heaven, one can listen to sublime Dhamma, practice sublime Dhamma, comprehend sublime Dhamma, and actually one can attain Nibbana if one wants to do so there. Therefore, meritorious devotees, Dhamma friends, this full moon Poya day is the greatest Poya day for Sri Lankan Buddhists, Sri Lankans. The darkness of ignorance disappeared, light of wisdom arose, the kind of low type of culture became developed culture, so it became Buddhist culture. It was a culture that time, what is called primitive culture was there in Sri Lanka, which includes hunting and worshipping trees, worshipping mountains, worshipping some departed relatives. These were the type of cultural aspects included in primitive culture of Sri Lanka before the arrival of advent of Buddhism. So after Arahat Mahinda Thera arrived in Sri Lanka, by the time Sri Lanka was ruling by King Devanam Piyatissa, then Arahat Mahinda Thero first and foremost delivered the Dhamma sermon to King Devanam Piyatissa and the 40,000 retinue. The shorter discourse, the discourse of elephant's footprint, the shorter one, that is called Chulahatti Padopama discourse. Actually, this discourse is very, very important discourse, because this teaches us how to be a noble disciple, how one can be a real disciple of the Supreme Buddha. Just by listening to Dhamma, one cannot be a real disciple. One has to practice it. So how we can practice Dhamma, how we can begin to enter to this path, and how one can end the path, all are included in this Dhamma discourse, in this discourse. Sri Lankan and the world disciples, they know the name of this discourse. When we ask from the students of the Dhamma schools and university students and others, what is the first discourse delivered by Arahat Mahinda Thero in Sri Lanka? They jump and tell Chulahatti Padopama discourse. But unfortunately, so many disciples have not yet read, not yet read this Dhamma discourse. Therefore, by just commemorating Poson Poya Day with lighting lamps, arranging pandals, giving dansals, and doing various pinkamas is not adequate. We have to come to the essence of this Dhamma, the sublime Dhamma. So we must know what has been expounded by the fully enlightened one and what has been expounded by Arahat Mahinda Thero when he arrived in Sri Lanka. So Arahat Mahinda Thero gradually and wisely disseminate this Dhamma in Sri Lanka. Before arriving to Sri Lanka, he studied Sri Lankan culture. Arahat Mahinda Thero studied Sri Lankan culture and he completed the studying of 3 baskets of entire Pali canon by living at Vedisa city in India, where Arahat Mahinda Thero's mother was living. After studying the completion of the studies, when King Devanapiyatissa came to power after the demise of King Mutasiva, Arahat Mahinda Thero wisely arrived in Sri Lanka, having known that young king can help in disseminating, propagating this Dhamma island-wide. So he selected, Arahat Mahinda Thero selected a very important day to come to Sri Lanka. On that day there was a festival in our country. That was a hunting festival. Even the king participated in this. King and the retinue all were there in the jungle. Arahat Mahinda Thero wanted to isolate king and deliver Dhamma. Therefore, there was a god near Mihantala rock, and he appeared as a kind of deer, and he was running near the mountain, the cliff of Mahintala rock. King Devanapiyatissa was running after the deer, and by that time Arahat Mahinda Thero appeared on the rock. First and foremost he appeared as one, and later on showed other Buddhist monks, and this story was very familiar one and very well known one to all of you. So here I wanted to emphasize what is the essence here. What is the essence? What is the greatest thing to catch up in this particular event? The greatest thing is, meritorious devotees, Dhamma friends, we have to take refuge in the Triple Gem wholeheartedly. So far, hitherto what we have been unable to do is taking refuge in the Triple Gem wholeheartedly. So this is the one which escape us from this dangerous samsaric life. So having arrived in Sri Lanka, Arahat Mahinda Thero, Arahat Mahinda Thero taught us, shown us this Triple Gem, the greatest thing in the world. Once Buddha said, if one is lovable to somebody, affectionate to somebody, friendly to somebody, what one would do is to help other one to take refuge in the Triple Gem wholeheartedly. Therefore, Arahat Mahinda Thero did that greatest task as a disciple, real Dhamma teacher, as a real missionary of the Supreme Buddha. What he did was that. Therefore, he completed his mission, the noble mission. He propagated this sublime Dhamma to the entire Sri Lanka. So King Devanam Pietissa took refuge in the Triple Gem wholeheartedly. Gradually other followers, other citizens of the country also took refuge in the Triple Gem wholeheartedly. Then Sri Lanka became a country following the noble Dhamma, that is Buddhism. But this did not continue without debacles for a long time. Here and there were some invasions. So especially now we know South India, the North India is the greatest part, greatest region to disseminate or send this sublime Dhamma to Sri Lanka, but other part, what is called in contrast, southern part, South India, send us the other, misbelief systems, especially with the invasions. We can remember Elara invaded our country, and Maga invaded our country, and some other Panemara, Pilemara, Datiya, Pitiya and others invaded our country. Especially Maga's period. He destroyed this country in terms of economy, in terms of culture. So his destruction is still available, because the cultural destruction that he made is vast. We cannot actually calculate, measure the kind of destruction he did to our sublime Buddhist culture. He completely destroyed. Still, it is operating in our country. People believe various wrong belief systems which are not included in Supreme Buddha's teachings, but they interpret them as their Buddhist teachings. For example, the following horoscope, following mythological aspects, following planetary influences, following other various wrong systems are there in our Sinhala Buddhist culture and in our culture. Why? Because of the later interpolations and influences by Maga and other invaders. Therefore, meritorious devotees, Dhamma friends, today our responsibility is to how we can once again clean this culture to the culture of that time. So we have to rinse this, we have to purify this, we have to purify the present what is called rotten culture into the pure, pristine purity culture introduced by Arahat Mahinda Thera before 2300 years ago. So that is the culture that we have to follow. The culture that is operating in the country is not healthy, or actually it is detrimental to us for our path to attaining Nibbana. Therefore, this factor has to be understood by all the Buddhists in Sri Lanka. So most important thing is taking refuge in the Triple Gem wholeheartedly. So we have to understand, we have to get to know, we have to read, we have to know the Dhamma, especially in the suttas like Chulahatti Padopama discourse, Samachitta Pariyaya discourse, and Vimanavattu Petavattu, and especially what is called Satya Sanyutta, Anamatagga Sanyutta, and Aggi Khandopama, Asi Visopama, Gomaya Pindupama. These discourses, and especially divine messengers, what is called Devaduta, Bala Pandita, these discourses have been expounded by Arhat Mahinda Thera for the first time, and Dhammacakkappavattana discourse is the final one in his first mission. Therefore, meritorious devotees, we always try to commemorate Arhat Mahinda Thera by various offering, Amisa Puja, by holding piraharas, processions, and decorations, and various things. But we don't come to the essence. We don't come to the essence, the reality, the most important thing. So, most important thing is Dhamma, expounded by Arhat Mahinda Thero, getting the, from the Pali canon, Tripitaka. Therefore, this is the one that we have to pay attention to. Arhat Mahinda Thera spent 80 years, his lifetime, especially 38 years, 48 years he spent in Sri Lanka. Majority of his living spent was, living was there in Mihintala rock. There is a cave, still we can see, that is Mihindu cave. He slept there silently, calmly, quietly, as a real Arahant. His mission was magnificent. Not like the present day fake Arahants, so-called fake Arahants who are, showing off in Facebook and YouTube and all that. So Arhat Mahinda Thera is the real Arahants that we were fortunate to, we were fortunate that he's coming to Sri Lanka. And when he was 80 years old, during the time of King Uttiya, Arhat Mahinda Thera passed away. So after that, his cremation was made in a grand manner by Uttiya, King Uttiya. That day is called Mihindupura Atavaka, and that day was commemorated by kings from that time. So even today we are commemorating this great day. So after that, his relics were established, enshrined, and King Uttiya built a pagoda. After some time, due to various reasons, this became a ruin. This became ruined. This was ruined, and now that, as after that destroying of the pagoda, once again we want to reconstruct this pagoda, and especially the present chief incumbent of the Mihintala Rajya Maha Vihara, the Nayaka Swamin Wahansa, now Venerable Valava Hengunavave Dhammaratana Nayaka Thera, and especially Venerable Kiribadgoda Jnanananda Thera, they got together, and now with the patronage of the government, the Saya, the Mihindu Saya is being built. So we are hoping to establish it and offer to the Sambuddha Sasana, very immediately, in a shorter period of time. Now, third, fourth of the pagoda's constructions have been completed. So we can be very happy. So I am also very happy that I could contribute to this great task by having the noble discussions with both Nayaka Theras to come in together to do this great task. Therefore, meritorious devotees, Dhamma friends, So as people, especially the Buddha's disciples, we have to have gratitude. We have to have gratitude. So if we pay the gratitude, at least we have to construct this pagoda and offer it to the Sambuddha Sasana, and we have to enshrine the relics of the Arhat Mahinda Thera in that particular pagoda. So the government and especially the navy helping in this construction, and majority of the followers, especially majority of our noble disciples come for the Sramadana and other things, and donations are made. So I think very immediately we can offer this pagoda to Sambuddha Sasana. It is the greatest thing that we can do on this occasion. As that is also Amisa Puja, but it is the greatest Amisa Puja to Arhat Mahinda Thera. Therefore, meritorious devotees, Dhamma friends, what I wanted to emphasize here is light of triple gem arose in Sri Lanka on this Posanpoya day, and that was brought to Sri Lanka by Arhat Mahinda Thera, and we have to pay gratitude to Arhat Mahinda Thera and the retinue, and especially Emperor Asoka, Arhat Moggali Puttatissa Thera, King Devanampitis, and all the ones for this greatest mission. Therefore, having thought of these ideas, we have to understand the what is called danger of this sansaric life. Therefore, we have to take refuge in the Triple Gem wholeheartedly and comprehend the Dhamma, the Four Noble Truths, and we must try to get rid of this dangerous sansaric life. May you all be able to do so as soon as possible. May the Triple Gem bless you. Namo Buddhaya. Akasatthaja Bhummatta Devanaga Mahiddhika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiran Rakhantu Buddha Sasanang. Akasatthaja Bhummatta Devanaga Mahiddhika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiran Rakhantu Buddha Desanang. Akasatthaja Bhummatta Devanaga Mahiddhika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiran Rakhantu Tang Sada. May you all be well and happy.